Hi, and welcome back to your real conversation video lesson. Today, we have an interesting topic about crime. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you how this video series works. I will ask you a question, and then I will give you some time to answer me. Then, at the end of the lesson, I will give you my answers for each question. Now, what I do is encourage you to write your answers in the comments down below, and I will correct them for you in a natural way of speaking, a natural English. That way, you can play the video again and practice with the correct answers. This will help improve your ability to make answers for the next lessons, and so on and so forth. It will become more natural for you. Now, before we get started, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, and if you like my videos and you like the lessons that I give out to everyone, please like and share this video to your friends who are trying to learn how to speak better English. Also remember that all of my videos on my channel are in playlists. That way you can practice them in order. If you ever have a problem with a lesson where it's too difficult or too fast, message me on the video and I will tell you, hey, try this series first and work your way back up to this series. That's always the best practice. Follow the curriculum in order, and each lesson will build on itself. So now, let's get started. First, is crime a big problem in your city or in your country? Have you ever been the victim of a crime? What crime is common in your city or your country? Excuse me. What would you do if you noticed a crime being committed? What would you do? Now, the last question is, how is the law enforcement in your city or your country? How are they? Meaning, are they good or are they bad? Okay, now remember, when you listen to my answers, try not to copy them for your answers down below. Use them as a pattern and put your own words in them. That way, you keep your own point of view, because that's important. When you're in a conversation with someone else, you don't have my answers to help you create your own. So start to develop your own ability to answer these questions. Question number 1. Is crime a big problem in your city or country? Where I'm from in America, crime in that city is a big problem, but it's not violent crime. Crime in my city is actually drug-related crime. So it's not a violent crime. with like lawless looting and robbery and assaults. It's more of a victimless crime outside of that person or their family. In my city, where I'm from, there is a very large opioid and painkiller abuse around the community. So that is a very big crime problem there. In the country of America, where I'm from, this is a difficult question because America is huge, and what's a crime over here, what's a problem over here is not a problem over here. Or what's a crime here might not actually be a crime here. It's interesting. Each state has their own laws. So what could be a crime here could be okay here. It's very interesting. Have you ever been a victim of a crime? Not in the sense of a violent crime or where the police were involved. I have been a victim of petty theft where someone had stolen money or something from my bag. But it was a nameless, faceless crime where I don't know who did it. So there was no one to report to the police. Excuse me. What crime is common in your city or your country? Well, like I said before, where I'm from in America, drug abuse is a very common crime there. Where I live in South Korea, the most common type of crime that I've witnessed is, sadly, domestic abuse. And it's a cultural thing here, where the women seem to have less social power, less social standing in the culture. So domestic abuse is something that is very prevalent, overly rampant, too much. It's just too much here. And I really don't like it. It's very difficult for me to know that there's any kind of domestic abuse, whether it be male to female or female to male. It's just difficult for me for that kind of thing. I don't like interrelationship issues like that. What would you do if you noticed a crime being committed? Now, usually when I notice a crime being committed, I just call the police. And it's not about me being afraid to stop the crime. It's not about that, the physical part of it. It's more, I'm afraid of the liability that could happen if I do intervene in a crime. In society nowadays, people are very quick to sue the other person, even if they were trying to help. So that is something that's always on the back of my mind. Now, if there's something amazingly bad happening, of course, I'm going to intervene and try and stop what's happening. But it has to be a risk type of thing. One of the co-teachers is here. So that's something that I have to think about in the moment. Is it something that it's really worth stopping right away? How is law enforcement in your city or your country? In America, like I said, since it's so big, you can't make a generalization for the country. In my city, we have bad cops and we have good cops. In cities over here, you might have some really bad cops, and some over here, you might have some really good cops. On average, in America, I would say the majority of police in law enforcement are good, but the bad cops get lots of airtime on the news. So you hear more about the bad than you hear about the good. So that's a media type issue, not really a police force type issue. But corruption is something that's terrible. In South Korea, for instance, it's interesting because they don't do as much as the police in America do, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I've seen public fights where the police are actually there watching 2 people or 3 people fight, and it seems like they're waiting until a winner is almost decided before they break up the fight. It's strange. So it's one of those things where you can't compare between country to country because of the differences in cultures, the differences in societal norms. So it's difficult to make a generalization like that. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video lesson. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. And if you liked the video, hit that like button. Remember to put your comments down below and I will do my best to correct them as quickly as possible. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.